What's going on, guys? Episode 3 of the Corner 3 podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about the Knicks and last night and just the progression of the team. I wanted to talk about the Heat and, Jimmy Butler's resurgence of the second half of the season. I wanted to talk about the Magic struggles. We're talking about the Magic struggles in Vucevic. Also, quick looks at the Hawks, Minnesota, the Kings catastrophe that's happening in Sacramento, and Ben Simmons comments of the commentator, the back and forth they had. Quick little pod, 30 minutes or so. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys Friday. Oh man, shit. Welcome back to episode 3 tres of the Corner 3 podcast. What's up? What's going on, guys? We back here recording this 5/19, March 16th on a beautiful afternoon, chilly afternoon in New York City. Man, the weather in New York City is crazy. I don't know if you guys live in New York City, but last week it was warm and the coonery was at a maximum, was at an apex. The weather has went down in degrees and it's been a little bit more calmer. A little bit more calmer. Those summer vibes have went away. But nonetheless, let's talk about a few things, man. First off, man, I want to talk about the Knicks, and I know you guys saw last night's game on ESPN. Couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the bogus call, like the officiating, especially this season, has been horrible. Like a lot of NBA players have been complaining about the calls and just the way the NBA has been officiated the last few years have been in decline. It was obvious as hell that Kyrie touched the ball when Julius Randle went up for that three. It's obvious stuff that doesn't. It's really unfortunate. I'm just too upset to even convey my thoughts. Right. Shout out to the Knicks for coming back. They was down, I believe, 17 going into the second half. And watching at that point, I just thought it was over with. I whipped out some homework, had the game in the background, but I was definitely on another. I was just on another planet when it came to that. And quarter by quarter, they're chipping in. It was nice to see them chip in. Quickly got his first start this season, which was, I know Knicks fans been dying to see quickly in the starting lineup with RJ and Randall as another floor spacer with Reggie Bullock. But the only thing I have an issue with quickly is, if he could be either a starting one in the league, a undersized two, or it's just a six man. It's his vision. If he's able to pass the ball, if he's able to develop the playmaking aspect of his game, you'll see him go pretty far in the league. As far as the longevity, like, if he's able to start long term for the Knicks, because I'm pretty sure during the trade deadline and maybe in the draft they're going to be looking for a future point guard. Pretty sure, just because of what you've seen what quickly can and can't do. I know names such as Lonzo Ball have been rumored around. I don't know about that. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be mad for Lonzo. This depends on the assets, because I know the Pelicans are asking for a lot, and then you would have to pay him because his contract is up. It would be interesting to see. It really would be interesting to see. But moving on, I want to talk about RJ Barrett's significant production increase in his year two, and just the way Thibodeau has been whipping him into shape, right? Because last year there wasn't a lot of foundation, there wasn't a lot of room for him to grow. Now this year you see him actually develop into a guy who could potentially be a perennial all-star. On his last 10 games, he's averaging 19, 5, and 50% from the field. 50% from the three-point land, actually. And he guards, so half the time he guards either forwards or guards. Forwards are shooting 43%. Guards are shooting 40% from the field when he's on them. He's really becoming a complete player. The three-point shot has. I can't say enough about the three-point shot, to be honest. RJ, you could just tell the work that RJ has been putting in. You could just tell that he really, really wants it, and he's a big part. Julius Randle has been having a spectacular season. Honestly, should be considered for All NBA third team. If Randle doesn't get that fourth spot, I'm going to be mad with the league if Randle is not an All NBA selection. It's ridiculous. But yeah, RJ has been developing nicely, and while we're still adding building blocks to this rebuild, if he's able to become the third pick in the draft and become a perennial all-star, become a three-level scorer, become a all-world defender, if he's able to become that, because he's already a starter, he's already a high productive starter in the league at 20 years old. It's great thing. It's great things, especially when you had Zion and Ja. This is the next best thing that you could that the Knicks could get in that situation. Also, I wanted to address the Andre Drummond situation, which is interesting because 75%. When you look on Twitter, 75% is with it. The other 25, 75% are not with it. The other 25, they want Andre Drummond. My stance on Andre Drummond is no. Just simply, I don't think he hurts the team. I don't think he does. But just the stuff that he adds to the squad is not really necessary. He's not a better defender than Mitchell Robinson. When Mitchell Robinson comes back, I think that's also the reason why the rumors are stemming, just because of how depleted we are at the center position because of Mitch's absence. But Mitch will be cheaper long term. You're thinking about paying Mitch maybe 13 to 15 million, locking him up, right? Drummond, who knows how much you would have to pay him. You don't have, and you have to run plays for him, and he's not the most efficient around the rim. It's a lot, man. Drummond requires a lot, and he's not a winning player. But what he can help the Knicks is the rebounding, the star power. It helps the appeal of New York. It really does, to me. But I think the Knicks should just stay far away from the situation. And I heard they're waiting for him to get bought out so they could sign him to a multi-year deal. And man, if that happens, Mitch is out of here, because they can't. We need spacing. If anything, we should not be investing money in that position, in my opinion. But yeah, that's just my opinion about the Andre Drummond situation. Just don't do it. Just don't do it, because it doesn't positively impact your team that you need. If anything, we need more shooting, a point guard who could pass. If anything, no, just don't invest the money. Be smart with the cap space. Leon Rose, Brock Aller, World Wide West. Y'all got this, man. Y'all got this. I know y'all saw Randall almost pop on the referee because of the call. That shit was dumb funny, man. Dumb funny. Shout out to the Knicks for winning OKC, for being OKC. Dominant performance tonight. I'm recording this before they play Philly. Hopefully, no Embiid. Hopefully, we get this W. I'm not gonna lie. But we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna talk about Miami. We're gonna talk about the Magic. We're gonna talk about the Hawks in a quick little segment. I had to start off the show with the Knicks. Yeah. All right. So we're back. I wanted to talk about the Heat, because the Heat have been a very interesting story this season. The reason being is they were 6-12 when that whole group, Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, I believe, and a decent amount of that group got caught up in the COVID protocols, and they've been injured, they've been hurt, and it was 6-12 in that stretch. We all knew they was gonna bounce back. To what degree they was gonna bounce back on, we didn't know. We knew they was gonna be a playoff team. We knew that they was gonna be, not in best shape just because they played the finals. And if you look at the Lakers who won the finals, they're kind of beat up badly too with the Anthony Davis situation, right? So, but on their last 21 games, they're 15-6 with Jimmy Butler into. So if it wasn't more apparent of how much of a winning player Jimmy Butler was, when we saw that in last year, you could definitely see it now. Just, he turned it on. He definitely turned it on, averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals per game, just playing elite basketball at this moment in time. Kendrick Nunn has really came on for them after last year getting third place in the rookie voting, and then after he got COVID, man, now COVID is a bitch. Look at Tatum, and look at that athletes that have gotten COVID. They don't come back the same. The COVID really messes with your breathing, and when you're playing an elite sport, conditioning is high priority. Tyler Hero is starting to come back. Duncan Robinson, Bam. They're peaking at the right time. They're really peaking at the right time, looking like they could be a top 4 seed. I still believe that they could beat the Bucks in the playoffs. I don't care that the Bucks added Drew Holiday. I don't think that's enough to beat the Heat. I also believe the Heat probably is gonna beat the Celtics. Probably. It's just the only thing though. I don't think that would be a war between them and Philly. But I would have Philly coming out of that. But it's going to be tight. It'd be real tight. The one team that's probably just going to blow right through the East, it doesn't even matter, it's probably Brooklyn. Just watching them last night. I know that I was supposed to talk about the Heat. But I really think they're a Bradley Beal piece away from strongly contending with the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think anybody has the firepower of the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to see how LeBron and Kawhi out west, who comes out, but nobody in the East, including the Heat, can fuck with them. It's just real. But Bam been playing well. The Heat really turned it up. And the team that they beat last night, the Magic, man, I don't know what's going on. I mean, we do know what's going on. The injuries. Markel Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, just key young players that's part of their future have not been contributing at all due to injury. And Vucevic this season alone, just having an incredible season, which is not being looked at. 28 points per game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 50, 40, 90 from the field. Just playing out of this world, and nobody gives a flying fuck because he's 0-8 and he's playing for a bad situation. The Magic need to blow it up. Right? Remember a few years ago they was officially gonna blow it up when they drafted Mo Bamba, and then Vucevic became an all-star, and that kind of staggered Mo Bamba's minutes because he can't play the 4 in today's game. You can't play them together in today's game. So you can't stagger their minutes, right? Evan Fournier is not a difference maker. They should be looking to trade him away. He's an expiring deal. The Magic really need to blow it up. Markel Fultz, it's one of the saddest stories with him tearing his ACL, and then Jonathan Isaac tearing his shit in the bubble. Man. They will be having a high draft pick this year, though. I would like to see them. I would like to see them get either Jalen Green or Kuminga, like a wing player, just a wing player who could play the 2 or the 3 next to Isaac. Just a very dynamic scorer. They need somebody. They need a lot of help, but a 2 like Jalen Green would be nice next to Cole, next to Markel, next to. Because I don't know what the fuck the Magic are doing. I just don't. Like, they've been fighting mediocrity since forever, bro. Like, for real. I don't know where do you even go? Like, I recommended drafting a 2, right? In this loaded draft class. But what's Vucevic value? I know you could get a first round, maybe a young player, but he's 30 years old, right? Like, man, question marks with the Magic, question marks with the Magic, right? I'm gonna be paying closely attention to see if they're sellers or buyers this trade deadline. It's gonna be interesting to see, very interesting to see. I also wanted to talk about the Kings because the Kings are 13-6, bottom of the league in defense, bottom of the league in offense. Talk about a team that needs to sell their assets. That Buddy Hield situation, it's just interesting, right? Because they did not match Bogdan's offer from the Hawks, thinking that Hield is just the future of the two. Then they go inside the draft. They pick up Halliburton. They find that Halliburton is it's a better player to play along Fox with. Now they have a man that they're supposed to pay 25 million, an unhappy guy. Just a terrible situation. The Marvin Bagley pick is going to haunt this franchise for a decade plus. No lie. They completely whiffed on the Bagley pick. I was never a fan of the bag. Look, I'm a big Duke guy, but I was never a fan of Marvin Bagley. Like, maybe I thought maybe he could be a good scorer, starter, but I always know his defense was going to be trash. He has that Randall effect where he's just not built like a defender. If you look at him, he's just not built like a defender. He doesn't shoot the three particularly well for a stretch for a four. He gets bullied by centers. Bagley has a lot of deficiency in his game. I know he's only 20 years old and he's probably in like the worst situation in the NBA. He got drafted to the worst situation. But man, you need to see more out of your second pick. I think you need. And what do you even get? Like, if you wanted to trade him, you're not gonna get another first round pick for him back, right? You're gonna get pennies on the dollar, so you might as well keep him and try to develop him, right? I know they had to give Fox the money. I don't know if you kind of had to do that. I know they had to do that, but he's not a franchise player, bro. He's just not. Maybe this is a lot of even like there's a lot of point guards you would take over him, and the help around them doesn't elevate his game. Harrison Barnes needs to be traded. I know Celtics fans have been going nuts. They pretty much have his jersey already made. They're just waiting for the trade to happen. Luke Walton, probably one of the worst coaches I have witnessed. No lie. Him, Fizdale, the Saunders dude who just got fired from Minnesota is probably the three worst coaching jobs I have seen in a while. Probably the last 5 years. No lie. Like, those are pretty bad situations. Maybe the Phoenix Sun situations were pretty awful too, with Errol Watson, and the European dude that they had in there for a year until Monty took over. But it's a pretty bad situation. They were gonna have a high lottery pick again. Feel bad for any prospect who lands over there, but to be honest, they need to go Evan Mobley. They need, like, Evan Mobley would come in there, fuck what Bagley has to say. The pick and roll with him and Fox will be pretty lethal for years to come. Hopefully they could mend their relationship with Hield, but this year was a wash from a team that was supposed to compete. Sad. And fuck you, Fox, for making fun of the Knicks, but your team is fucking ass, nigga. Fucking ass. Probably gonna request a trade in 2 years. Now, something more positive. Let's talk about two teams that have been trending upwards in the last week or so, week and a half. The Hawks. I remember last episode of the pod, I was bitching about how the situation in Atlanta, them drafting, it's just coming together now. I think every time, and to me, I think the main component of it is it's a new coach, new situation. Let's play hard for this man, so we don't look like a dysfunctional group that we just kicked out our coach and we're still not playing well. The John Collins situation intrigues me because I never saw him as a max player and he's asking for max money, which baffles me. Baffles me. Really does. I mean, he's a nice little player, athletic, could shoot the three, plays no fucking defense. Maybe a team like the Celtics, San Antonio, I don't know. Maybe a team with a decent foundation could bring him in and transform him on the defensive end. But he's another guy whose body, he's just not a defender. He has like a Bagley, Randall type of, like Obi type of body where he's just a tank, and he can't really move his feet laterally. Very apparent. Very apparent when you watch the Hawks. And then with Trey Young, I know him and Trey Young been bumping heads, but Trey Young's been playing amazing, you know, as he's always had. And I think it really bothered Trey Young was the All-Star snub, and the coaching change. But I don't know how better the Hawks could really be better be with Trey Young as their best player and the cap situation that they have. But for this moment in time, they're playing well. They're playing well. And shout out to Clint Capella. You've been playing good. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of hating on you when you played. I was kind of hating on you. I'm not gonna lie. I was hating on you when I found out that you were. Let me not even get on that. Let me not even get on that with Capella. But that's old. But shout out to Capella, right? Shout out to Capella. Shout out to Minnesota. Minnesota playing not the best record since Chris Finch got there. Not 5-0, but they look like a competent basketball team. I could tell you that much. They really do. I like how they've been playing with Anthony Edwards as a lead ball handler, just pick and rolls with Karl Anthony Towns. It's a good usage of him. Chris, it looks like they actually have an actual coach in there. Shout out to Chris Vernon for implying, like, it's just been a weird situation over there, with Saunders' son. I forgot his name. He's irrelevant, but he was on that staff because of Thibodeau, because of ownership. It was one of those things where you had to, you got to put on my mans. You got to put on my mans. And he's just not an NBA coach. He got the job by default, and he pretty much ran that franchise to the ground. And they look competent. I don't know when D'Lo's gonna come back, but that's a situation. They don't really have their pick this year. If it falls outside of the top three, I believe those are the stipulations of the pick. It's interesting. It really is. I ain't gonna lie. The Minnesota thing is interesting. I don't know how much Karl Anthony Towns is gonna tolerate of them losing. Maybe it's a new era with Chris Finch, and because they grabbed him from somebody else's bench, which is kind of weird. Just weird as hell. Still weird. It really is. It really, really is. Yeah. Pretty much all of Minnesota. Just want to acknowledge how well they've been playing. I'm gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna talk about Simmons and commentator. We had about Simmons. All right, I'm back. I wanted to touch on the Ben Simmons situation, right? So, homie says, commentator for the Wizards, the Sixers were playing the Wizards, and when Westbrook was going up for a free throw, Wizards commentator said, "I've said it before, and I know I'll take flack for it. I think Ben Simmons is one of, if not, the most overrated player in the NBA. He gotten so much love and attention that people are not paying attention to what Tobias is actually doing on the floor." And then he goes back, and then he goes on Twitter later and says, "Yep, I said that Ben Simmons is one of the most overrated players in the NBA, and I stand by it. I didn't say he was bad, just not as good as everyone makes him out to be. Great defender, potential defensive player of the year. But I think he's made an all-star. He made all-league and all-stars based on hype. Whew. And then Simmons fires back. Oh, I looked at his Instagram and he's just some 5 foot, 5'5" guy just talking shit. And I don't really pay attention to that stuff and the professional stuff. But it's interesting to see the disrespect to Ben Simmons just because he doesn't shoot a jump shot. Like, do you guys watch the game of basketball? You're here watching Westbrook brick shots every night, but you have nothing to say but positive stuff about him, right? But Ben Simmons was actually playing an elite defense. He could guard every position on the floor. He could guard five at spot minutes. I'm not saying he could play five for the whole game, but possession or two, shit, he could guard the five, nigga. At 6'11", rebounds the ball exceptionally well. Court vision as good as anybody in the league at 6'11". Ball handling skills tremendous at 6'11". Great leader, great teammate. Like, bro, like, what are we even talking about right now? What are we even talking about? We saw the impact with him last year alone. He made third. He made third team. He made third All NBA team last year. Translates, you go into the playoffs, Embiid gets swept without him. Embiid gets swept without him. Damn near the same team, just without Simmons. Damn near gets swept without him. It's an interesting, he's an MVP candidate. He can be an MVP candidate without the jump shot. And the fact that he's just literally the best team player in the NBA because he doesn't care about stats or nothing. He's your definition of a winning player. Definition of a winning player. It is funny because you're literally watching the opposite every night and Russell Westbrook, but you have nothing but positive things to say. It's interesting. It's interesting to see. And then if we're just basing it on the draft, who you taking? Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, or Jaylen Brown? Who has the most accomplishments? Who's done more in the league? Who's a better defender? Who can run an offense better than those three? You know? Stop disrespecting the prodigy. That's all I gotta say. I'm a big Ben Simmons fan. I know I'm not so as a Knicks fan. I'm not supposed to like Philly. But I thought Ben Simmons was an elite talent since high school. Real talk. The dude got game. But yeah, shout out to you guys if you're still listening. We'll be back Friday. Talk about the league and yeah. Pit.